Good morning, beautiful Las Vegas, and welcome to another franchise podcast. My name is Nyshon Zaragoza, and joins me TQ, top left,
Hey, hey.
Joe, top right.
Hey,
How are
hey.
you doing this morning?
Excellent.
Good.
Bright and early, another beautiful day ahead of us. All right, guys, so we have a good amount of stuff to cover today. But first, I want to get into this Pac-12 boycott that's pretty much streaming the internet, Kay. So a group of players have united, and they have formed their own union and created demands to the commissioner. So the union is called #WeAreUnited. So TQ, give me your thoughts.
Well, my first thought is a couple of weeks ago, or months ago now, when the George Floyd thing happened and the unrest was going on, I was actually sitting with my sister. Our family is from the South, heavily into college football down there. And I actually suggested that if you really wanted to disrupt the country, if you really wanted to make somebody hear you, I suggested boycotting college football, but not for the Pac-12. I was looking at the SEC
You just don't want to
because,
see Alabama do good.
oh man, listen, they weren't gonna do good no way. But the point is, out here we have so much going on. You know what I mean? So if college football doesn't happen in the Pac-12 cities, you know, it'll be rough. It'll be a disappointment, but I doubt that it would disrupt the way of life. There are places in the SEC where on a Saturday afternoon, the stadium is bigger than the city. It's a way of life there that it's I don't know how to explain it. It's ingrained into the veins of babies to old people. So that event on a Saturday evening for LSU or for Auburn or for Georgia, for Tennessee, it's another level from what we enjoy as sports. Like out here, we put our sports in a place, and it carries a place in our lives. There, that place is much bigger. So the disruption of no college football is actually the reason why we have this topic today. From one side of it, the other side of it is that this is a time where this whole cattle mentality of the way that the NCAA deals with its athletes can be turned upside down on its head. I looked at their manifesto, the things that they wanted. I say go for it. I say go for it because for such a time as this, who knew that all of this was coming? A lot of reform is needed within that conference, is needed within college football and college sports anyway. And this is a good way to start. Who knows? You know, COVID has definitely hit a reset button on a lot of different topics, and we'll see what comes of it. But I applaud the players in the Pac-12 for this.
You know, the Pac-12 has no leadership with Larry Scott, their commissioner. He's the worst commissioner aside from Emmerich, who runs the NCAA. Okay, let's just make no mistake about that when we talk about this. Larry Scott has done a disservice to the Pac-12 since he's been a commissioner, starting with their TV contract, which has grossly underfunded the universities that's a part of the Pacific 12 universities
Right.
conference. Okay. When I seen the manifesto with the list of demands, I agree they all are what the players should have 100%. The one they're going to have a hard time with is 50% revenue sharing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's not going to happen. The NCAA already relented by allowing them to get money off their likeness for marketing purposes. Bring back NCAA football for PS whatever and Xbox. You make a ton of money. Everybody would. Guaranteed. With that being said, I'm all for it because at some point, the NCAA, I mean, it's an old business model based off of antiquated thoughts and laws, thinking they can control amateurism in sports.
Mm-hmm.
The reality is they've been outgrown with March Madness. It's a multi-billion-dollar month of basketball.
Absolutely.
You know, with the when the BCS was around, and now the college football playoff, which needs to be expanded by at least 2 teams at minimum.
Agree.
It's been, again, outdated because the schools are too big. If the Power 5 conferences just decided to say, screw it, we're going to create our own super conference. Tell Molly, Steven, and Max to stop texting you. Okay. but
Soccer news, bro.
I know it's about Man U and what's not happening.
Come on, man. Don't get me started.
but the end of the day, the NCAA should be fearful that if the Power 5 conferences joined together and said, look, we're doing our own thing. And some of the G5 schools can come, like, they say, okay, you know what? UNLV, come be a part of the Pac-12. You have the facilities, you have the stadium, you're in a hub that we already have our conference championship at Allegiant Stadium. You're starting to grow as a sports market. The school is starting to get better. In terms of athletics, you have 2 coaches in place that are leading them in the right direction in their programs with football and basketball, respectively, with Marcus Arroyo and TJ Otzelberger. San Diego State, Boise State, come on, we'll add one more school, make it a 16-team league, and then you have the other leagues down south doing the same, Midwest, back east. Now you got some action, and the NCAA is going to be left holding the bag, like, where did we go wrong? It's because they weren't progressive enough in their thinking, and they weren't forward thinking enough to put a stop to this. In terms of the people in sport and their sports and in the universities getting a bigger share of the pie, because I don't see how presidents of schools, chancellors, even people that work for the NCAA, how they can get raises during this time, but yet you're having schools shut down various sports because they can't afford to fund them. That's ridiculous to me. It's asinine, but that's how the NCAA works.
It's a real unique situation in this country with the NCAA. You go to other places and you go to other countries with their sports situation from amateur to professional. The amateur level is so much lower than the professional level, right? It's at 2 different levels. Whereas here in America, for basketball and football in particular, like, it's almost just as popular. With basketball, maybe it's just for a month, but that's one hell of a month of broadcasting, of the exchange of money. You know what I mean? So the regulation for professional sports is salary. Like, you paid for your works, you paid for what you do on the field. That model is not there for the NCAA, but every other part of professional, athleticism is there. So that has to change, because the whole, put so much regulation on players. There's no regulation on league. And so players having to come together and unionize themselves, they really need a actual players union. I don't know how the gray area between amateurism and professionalism would work there, but there are many great lawyers that can sit at a table and come up with a plan that works better than what's been working for the last however many years. And this is the time to do it. At the end of the day, if you have decided, which a lot of the Pac-12 has, that we're going into this upcoming semester online, then you've made that decision based on health and safety precautions that you've heard from experts. How can you explain allowing a portion of those students, a portion of that student body that you've already decided it's not safe enough for them to come to school, but you allow them to come to play football or to come in and play basketball? The bottom line is, we're not stupid. The only reason you're allowing anything is for sports to go ahead and go down in 2020, because that's your bag. We're not stupid. The players aren't stupid. And this is the way to get the discussion started to say, hey, we ain't going to take it no more.
So I want to ask you guys a question. Did you want to go real quick, Joe?
Well, yeah, I just had 2 thoughts with that. One, how you get a union going with something like that is you have again a couple lawyers. And look, the reality is these players, a lot of them are getting paid at some of the major schools and the major conferences. So let's not act like that's not happening. You put a cap on it. And since the NFL has a 2-year or 3-year minimum since graduating high school to enter the draft, that remains in place. It's not as if they're staying there. Guys are going to school to play football and go to the league. They're not going to school to get an education. Most of the players are that their dream is to play the NFL, not just go play college football. There's some that is just their dream. They're very far and few in between, and we both know that, Squeeze, as knowing a bunch of guys that have played and are currently playing. With that being said, you have them at a minimum with a cap that you have to have people monitor. And there has to be harsh penalties if teams break that cap, because some guys, some boosters from some schools will do that. And I forgot my second point, so it must not.
I mean, the policing of this of this idea, it's going to take a whole lot of people. It's going to take literally a new company or something to just regulate if this would happen, because the amount of fraud and breaking rules, and I mean, you see what we're talking about right now. Well, you see what we're talking about right now. There is no way. I'm thinking about the locker rooms and the programs that I've just been around down south. There is no way that a lot of these programs and these good old boy coaches are giving a damn about hand sanitizer, washing hands, mask, any of that. Like, it's just it's a joke to act as if we believe that the NCAA gives a damn about the health and safety of
that was my second
players.
That was my second point. It goes not just to the college level, it goes to the high school level, the youth level. If you're saying it's not safe enough for these children and young adults to be in a classroom around each other, learning, getting an education, it's not safe enough for them to be out there tackling, getting hit, blocking, bumping into each other, whatever the case may be. It's that simple.
I tell you what is possible. I tell you what is possible. Now, just like we've heard from somebody who's pulled it off wildly successfully, it's going to take money, it's going to take time, it's going to take resources, and you're going to take a loss this year. Yep. Create bubbles. We see that is the only way that it's going to possibly work. All right,
guys.
Go ahead.
I'm going to hit you with a quote because I want to see what your guys' opinion is. Okay. After this, we're going to move on to the next subject. But the players are requesting Zoom meetings, okay, from Scott. They want Zoom meetings every single day. Now, the players have written a quote to him in written form. I believe 11 players have signed this form. It says, "We believe a football season under these conditions would be reckless and put us at a needless risk." Their email to Scott reads, "The lack of regard for our health and safety is central to the systemic racial injustices imposed by NCAA sports that disproportionately exploits Black athletes physically, academically, and financially." So the reason why the students are kind of on an uproar is because they want to get permission from Scott, okay, to allow the option to not play in the pandemic without losing athletes' eligibility or their spots on the team roster. So give me your guys' idea about this particular quote. Are the students right for not wanting to, lose their eligibility or their spots on the roster? Do you think that it's okay for them to bring up systemic racial injustice in a situation like this?
Hell yeah. I'm both, of course. Look at TCU and Gary Patterson.
Right.
Like, look at college football players and with a lot of the good old boys are just cattle. They're just meat. They're like a slave. And if, I got this guy for 4 or 5 years, maybe 6 if he doesn't do well and gets hurt, and I'm gonna go ahead and get the miss out of him so I can win me another title. What was it? Varsity Blues. Like, that's that type of coach. You're as good until you're injured, or you're just not good anymore. Like, that's how it is. And look at Washington State. Nick Rolovich was in hot water up until he had to like clarify his comments, because he basically said, if you're going to do the opt-out, you're no longer part of this football program.
In a nutshell.
And Washington State's got bigger problems. Kicking a player off a team because a girl accused him of rape, which he did not do, and has the messages to prove that she lied about it, and they still kicked him out of school. Are you kidding me? So
they doing up there.
there needs to be something in place. And again, it goes back to leadership. And in the Pac-12, there is none from a conference standpoint with Larry Scott as the commissioner. I know people that are begging and are just praying for the day that they just don't renew his contract and get him the hell out of there. He is that bad.
At the end of the day, there's another thing that I think gets desensitized in the whole college athletics here in America. These are kids. They're young adults, but they're kids. They're not fully grown men yet, and grown women yet. We have to take better care of them, period. It's just like, as parents, most parents I know, they don't care what the governor has to say or the mayor has. They're not sending their kids to physical school right now, period. Yep. It's the same thing with them. As the grown folks, as the professionals, as the parents, we have to protect them. They don't necessarily know. So the fact that they came together to say, hey, we're going to protect ourselves, it means a lot. And I feel like it was the perfect time for it. And the bottom line is, the NCAA's business model or operations model or whatever, it's time for it to change. Enough is enough.
They need to have something about mental health in there as well for players.
Agreed.
All right, guys. So we're moving on. And speaking of change, the Major League Baseball has made several strict changes to its health and safety protocols. I want to get your guys' opinion on whether these protocols are strict or not, okay? So players and staff will have at least one private room, for example, a ballroom with food and amenities so that teams can they can socially distance. Surgical face masks are required. All staff and players must wear face coverings at all times in the hotels or on the road. Clubs must reduce the size of their traveling parties to only personnel who are absolutely essential to playing games. And no one should be conversing with others while they're eating or drinking, and members traveling should not eat or drink at the same time as others in their role. Staff and players that do not meet any of these reasonable protocols will pretty much obviously be in trouble, per se. Give me your guys' opinion in regards to these protocols. Are these strict enough?
Look, no masks or no talking and eating at the same time. Your mask has to be worn at all times. No bars or restaurants, and don't leave the team hotel. The no talking and eating is kind of excessive, I think, because I talk and eat. But again, if I'm at a table, it depends how close I am, too. But the reality is, when you have St. Louis Cardinals going to a casino, and then they come back, and they're playing the Twins and they can't have their series. When the Miami Marlins, and I credit Derek Jeter for two things: one, standing up for his team, and two, being as transparent as he possibly could by saying, look, yeah, you know what? Our guys thought they were kind of immune to it. They thought they were essentially going to be okay because of who they are. And they took some risks, but you know what? We're learning from it, and we're going to get better from it. That's good. But baseball messed up, because you have two places in Florida and in Arizona where you could have created a massive bubble and played these games like it was some type of travel ball tournament for a few months. They have the facilities. The Dodgers and White Sox already share a facility. Angels share a facility with another. I think the Cubs. You could do the same thing, but baseball doesn't want to do that. So now they're double backing, because they see their plan in place wasn't that good. The honor system isn't going to work, because you got guys that, quite frankly, are thirsty. They're going to go out there and do what they want to do.
And how do you come with this now? You know what I'm saying? Why wasn't this in place in the first place? Okay, so let's take all of that out. Let's just say that everybody in MLB is a saint, and when they're on the road, they do perfectly. They follow all of the protocols. They don't go to the strip club or the casino. They don't leave the hotel. They do great. They fly back home. They got 2 days off. They leave from the airport and go home to the missus. Now, the missus yesterday went and got her lashes done because she ain't seen Big Daddy in a couple of weeks. He's been on the road. But while she was getting her lashes done, it's 17 other women in there doing it too. They all got COVID. Everybody's infected. So the player comes home, lays up with the family. It's nice. Now we're going back on the road. And now the Cubs have to postpone games. It's not going to work without a bubble. The virus is everywhere. The time to mitigate is over. It's going to do what it's going to do. We're not mandated to be locked down. So that means that we're not going to lock down. It's the same thing in sports. This virus has not been taken seriously for the most part by this country. And coming late to the party has us in the position that we're in. Without a bubble, I still say I cannot see Major League Baseball finishing. And if they do finish, I feel like it's going to be another ugly asterisk on the championship.
I was about to ask you that. Like, I was actually talking to somebody last night, and he asked me, would I consider an asterisk? And I said no, I wouldn't, because it's not a strike or a lockout where we're the only ones doing it. I mean, it's across the board globally. But he said, so when they're going to give COVID the World Series trophy, because that's obviously who won the World Series, no matter what. And I found that. So I thank John for that little, it kind of made me giggle a little bit. But this is when, if I'm Major League Baseball, and they should have been taking this seriously, this is where my ears perk up. Mike Trout is arguably the best player in the game. And I say arguably because you have Mookie Betts, you have Aaron Judge, who's on fire, you have a young guy, Luis Robert from the White Sox, that's just crushing it right now, and others. But Trout universally is known as the best player in the game, right? Mike Trout came out and said he struggled with coming back. He just had a baby last week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he's calling for daily testing. Now, Mike Trout's talking. Mike Trout don't ever talk. So
he never has nothing to say.
So I said, ooh, okay, yeah. Mike Trout's talking. So if I'm Rob Manfred, I would definitely look into that. I would definitely say, okay, wait a minute. Trout is well-spoken when he talks, and it's when he talks. And that's my thing with the NFL too. When Major League Baseball kind of just put the plan in place where it was, geez, okay, we'll go ahead and just figure this thing out as we go. It's kind of what the NFL is doing. So far, 61 players have opted out, and which is 2% of the NFL. Or excuse me, 61 players opted out. 59 players have tested positive for COVID since testing started, which is 2% of the NFL. But there's two names I find very interesting. One is Lucas Nying, who is the Kansas City Chiefs' third-round pick in this year's draft. They just lost their starting right guard, who's going to be a doctor. He opted out as well. But I think the biggest name so far is Buffalo Bills cornerback Tre'Davious White. He opted out. He has 12 interceptions in his career. He's given up 5 touchdowns in his career. He's going into year 5. His wife's grandfather passed away from this, and fans were giving him crap. I mean, they were going in on him on social media to the point where he felt he had to defend himself and was like, basically, my health is way more important and being around for my family. And my wife just lost her grandfather to this, or her father, one of the two. He was just like, it's ridiculous that you're even coming at me like this.
It's not ridiculous. He's a Buffalo Bill. Get out of here. That's Bills Mafia madness. Tune it out. Have you ever seen how they act in the parking lot? Like,
yeah.
It is what it is. What do you expect at this point? At the end of the day, it's health and it's safety first. Period. We're on a whole different subject now. We're talking about professional athletes that are paid for what they do. It makes absolutely no sense for a person that is around people with pre-existing conditions to come and play football right now. Makes no sense whatsoever. Now, that being said, I understand walking the line for the players at the bottom of the echelon who are not making so much money. I understand there's a line that you have to walk, which is the same line that the citizens have to walk. You know, do we eat, feed, or stay healthy? And if we can't do all three of them, what's the hierarchy? When you move from one person to the next, that changes. You know, I don't necessarily understand it, but I'm not here to say what's right or what's wrong. At this level, anybody in the league that decides that they want to opt out of this season for no other reason but the fact that the plan doesn't look it. We haven't seen a plan that makes our wives and loved ones, you know, feel comfortable. I mean, as an NFL player, you sign on a dotted line that I could actually go on this field and it's the last time that I walk. I could go on this field and it's the last time that I see or that I can move my extremities. You have a certain amount of risk that you take when you suit up to play football. So for you, it's one thing. For the wife, for the family, they biting their fingers during the game anyway. That you make it home safely. That's what real. They care about. And when you add this to it, where this is a silent killer, they don't have to see a hit on the field. You could have the greatest game that you've had all day, and then you catch COVID from a coach or from an equipment manager or from somebody in the parking lot, and you take that home. Now it's the family being affected. So at this level, when you're a professional and you have the powers that be that are a protection device, it's totally different from the college kids. So I don't care from Tom Brady to Derek Carr all the way down to the practice squad player who says that I'm not doing this year because you guys haven't shown me anything that makes me comfortable. I completely understand that.
Josinia Anderson tweeted out something. There was I guess people went to church and I guess one person had it and like 91 people have it now. And she said, all it takes is one person to be patient zero. And Period. It blows the whole league up. When you bring up the opt-out, when you players opting out, looking out for the players that aren't as financially stable, aren't superstars or even borderline superstars, I'm interested to see what would happen if a guy like Aaron Rodgers opted out. If a guy, and I say Aaron Rodgers because he is a different thinking player, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
He's not Tom Brady, who's like, I'm playing no matter what. No, Aaron Rodgers is like, hold on, wait a minute. There's got to be some different protocols. Or if Patrick Mahomes, or Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson, if one of those guys say, hey, you know what? Nah, man, I'm cool. I'm set, or I'm coming up on my deal. It's going to help reset the market.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm opting out. There ain't no way I'm playing like this. Not with all this stuff. I'm interested how the league would react then. If there was a couple players that did.
I think that's possible. I think that's possible. Yes, because
they have until today.
Yeah, and I mean, we haven't heard from everybody. We've heard that a lot of people, when they get on camera, we hear the uncertainty in their voice when they're talking about it. They walk in the fine line. So, you know, we don't know yet. And when you have a young player, they have that air, that kind of air of invincibility where they feel like they have all the time in the world. But when you get to a certain level and you've done the NFL song and dance, you want to hear what the protocols are. It's not, life is not just football when you're in your 30s. You're looking at what's going to happen after football. Now, when you're in the early 20s, you're just coming into the game, then that's something different. But I also believe that a league as big, powerful, and with the amount of resources as the NFL, I have to believe that there's a certain amount of research going on right now. I have to believe that some kind of plan is going to surface before the actual season starts. And I have to believe that they want to hit a home run with whatever plan that is. Because if it comes out looking crazy, if it comes out, you know, with too many holes in it, kind of like the baseball plan, I don't see a lot of guys doing this. So we'll see. We'll see. And I also think that the sinister part will be that plan will not come out today. I guarantee you that. So
You said sinister.
All right, guys.
I've never heard you say
Yeah.
sinister.
I'm gonna pull it back a little bit, okay? As far as baseball, I want to ask you guys a question because I'm really curious to see your guys' different opinions. As far as baseball, if they, obviously are prohibited, they'll be prohibited from the 2020 season and postseason if they violate the protocols. How many teams do you guys think will violate the protocols, if any? Or what player would you guys pick first to violate any of these protocols?
Those protocols from the MLB, a lot of people gonna violate.
I
A
think
lot of people gonna violate. I'll tell you something else. We ain't gonna find out about it. I guarantee you that. Man, it's a network, man. People understand how team sports go. Like in a situation like this, the camaraderie, the loyalty, it works against, it works against the greater good in this situation. But this is the way guys are built. This is my teammate. I'm not about to snitch on my teammate. You know what I'm saying?
Never.
It's not gonna happen.
But Major League Baseball also has a snitch line put in now.
Right.
So I mean,
we'll see.
Hey, I heard Isaiah, Mike, and Kyle were out at Magic City last night getting some wings.
yeah.
What player? I don't know what player, honestly, but it would be somebody that's reckless. I'm gonna say name just because I love him to death, even though he already tested positive for it. But Puig would be
for
the one.
Sure. It's the first person I thought about.
Yes,
it's the first person I thought about. 100.
All right, guys. So speaking of plans, we're going to move over to the NBA, which has the best plan in place, and they still have no positive tests. So they're on a really, really good note, okay? I want to touch base on the Lakers a little bit. The Thunders defeated the Lakers 105-86. TQ, give me your thoughts. What were you thinking? Were you off the edge of your seat during this game?
I kind of felt like the Lakers should work on some different rotations and see what they actually have on the team during this time after they went on and clinched number one. Losing Avery Bradley is going to be a big deal for the team, and to try to get his production back between two or three players is going to take some time to figure out. I don't know if the Lakers have that much time. What I would like to see is, if we're going to be losing by 15 points on a regular basis throughout these 8 games, then let's let LeBron and AD sit down, please. Because all it takes is one bad move. When you have people flying all over the place, dudes are really like not in basketball form yet. The amount of fouls and the amount of silly plays and mistakes that we see happening right now is basically based on rust. Guys are sloppy, guys are clumsy, they don't have they coordination and equilibrium or whatever, right? Athletes are creatures of habit, and this season has kind of been turned upside down. So, it's just a lot of topsy-turvy, like Keystone Cops basketball going on. And I don't want nobody to get hurt. The Lakers have this thing that I've worried about for the last couple of years. I don't know what it is, but they go through these spurts where the basket is like the size of a toothpick and the ball goes nowhere close to it. And I mean, they go for 5-10 minutes without scoring a point, just raining up brick on top of brick on top of brick. And the better teams in the league are going to take notice of that. And when you're raining up threes constantly and you're not making them, that means long rebounds that put the other team on a fast break. That's a problem. When the shots ain't falling, the Lakers need to go to the hole, because this is not something new. I don't know what it is. I don't know what happened to Danny Green, missing Avery Bradley shooting. The long droughts is what killed this team, and that has to be fixed some kind of way.
I think you hit a nail on the head when you talk about not being in game form. The beginning of yesterday's game is a perfect example. LeBron missed 3 easy layups in the first 5 minutes of the game. One was an and one. One was he just went to the rack, and then he missed another one. I think well, it may have been Danny Green or no, Caldwell Pope, like kind of just threw it up, thought he was going to try to lob, and LeBron got it, missed, and then AD followed it up with, back out. There's that part of it that, I worry about that. I'm more worried about the Lakers poor shooting. They're shooting like 30%, in the 30%, as a team, not just from three, as a team.
Right.
In the win the other night against the Jazz, they're at like 36, 39%, something like that.
Yeah.
They need to go back now. I think what they need to do is get in playoff form and slow it down a little bit and start running their sets and letting the offense start to flow and get your points through it and then run everything through AD. I don't agree with sitting down LeBron and AD because they need to be they're the two people that need to get minutes to make sure they're okay in terms of getting back in basketball shape and basketball. I mean, they're in shape, but basketball.
Hey man, do you see LeBron James? Are you serious?
No, I'm not talking about. I'm not talking about shape in terms of their health. I'm talking about when he's on the court, making the shots he normally would make, making the plays he normally would make that in a game. Because you can practice all you want, but when the bullets are flying in his game action, that it's a lot quicker, and he knows it. But for whatever reason, it's like a tick behind. And a lot of teams are going through it, but for the Lakers in particular, and let's say the Clippers, the Bucks, the Celtics, the Nuggets, who are a dangerous team, the Portland Trailblazers, if they get in on the A seed, hell, even the New Orleans Pelicans, who are playing great right now, Brandon Ingram in particular, you're looking at, you can't afford to have a misstep against them. Not in the West. Not in the West. In the East, yeah, maybe, but not in the West. So I'm a little worried. They're what, 2-2 or 3-2, since they returned. They really need to, I think, today is going to be a good example when they play the Rockets in small ball, because Rockets are going to, the pocket Rockets, as what we said, we called them on the 70213 podcast, which airs every Wednesday afternoon. When you look at that team, they're so small. The Lakers should use their size advantage. AD is as quick as a guard, but you have to use your size advantage, and you have to start playing playoff basketball now. Maybe the last game or two.
I don't want to see them running up and down the court behind the Houston Rockets this week. Like, you may have to do that in a couple of weeks for real. Like, why? You know what I'm saying? I would rather Vogel figure out what he needs to do with this team as opposed to what he was doing with the team that we had before COVID. Because I know it doesn't seem like it's that much of a turnover, but it's a pretty big turnover because of the role that Avery Bradley played. And Rondo. Like, we really lost two players in the worst possible position that we could have lost them in. And not having the time, even if Rondo comes back, not having the time to run, to practice that's worrying. So what I would love, and that's gonna result in probably losses for the rest of the way. But what I would love is to see what some of those auxiliary players can bring to the table. But it's again, if they never play, then you're never going to find. I ain't going to come in cold. They're going to throw up some bricks because they can't get hot. They can't get warm. So this is the time, if any time. What about his out? What's his outside shooting about? Like, he cannot shoot the ball for some reason outside of the key. If you look at his makes and misses, everything is in the key. You would think you look at his X's and O's, you would think it's a center, a 7-footer. He can't. He think he's made what, 2 outside, 3 outside shots?
Okay, but okay, and I'm not comparing him to Kobe, but Kobe at the end of his career was a mid-range guy, still 2 points. 2 points is 2 points.
Yeah, but we wasn't the number 1 seed in the West.
It doesn't, but it's still, you need to put up points. You need to put up points, and that's what
you can't be bricking. He bricks. He shoots threes. He bricks. Long rebound, other team out running. What does that do? Tires out the king. Come on, man. We got to take a bit more care. I know LeBron looks like he's 24, but he's not.
No, he got that gray beard. Salt and pepper beard.
Let it in. Let it come on in, man.
You know, I want to. Okay, Rondo's coming back today. Rondo returns to the bubble today.
Oh, is he back today? He's going to play today?
No, he's in the bubble, so he still has a couple weeks. He's going to start. He's going to try to practice and start getting things going.
Yeah. Okay. He's in rehab as well, where they are.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. So that's a good thing. And I think that brings some leadership too, because Rondo may be one of the top 2 or 3 smart players as far as basketball IQ in the NBA. So that's another coach on the bench, another coach on the court in practice, because he knows exactly what Vogel, LeBron, and what everybody else wants to do.
Rondo does that thing too, though. He's done it all year. He does that. He did it last year, where they go through the spell, cannot make a basket. Literally put an iron skillet on top of the rim and just shoot the lights off for 15 minutes and then take it off.
That's Rondo's.
It's a Laker thing. I don't understand it.
Look when you were talking about what the Lakers always have a problem with every single year, and you get worried about it, I thought you were going to talk about injuries. And this year they haven't had a ton of them like that. If they have, they've been handled very well. And credit the new trainer that's there. She is killing it. And at first, like, full disclosure, when AD first started playing with the Lakers this year, every time he went down, I held my breath like, oh, God.
I still do.
Get up. Just get up, AD. I see you limping. Get up.
Yeah.
But he's done.
Or when they fall, if they fall on the other side of the court,
like
you don't see them come. It's like I'm biting my fingers. It's like, where is Bron? Where is AD? Boy, we traumatized, man. We got traumatized the last 7-8 years.
You know what? And that's the thing that I guess it shocks me, because 7-8 years we've been traumatized with that. But bro, we've seen 10 titles
10
in our lifetime. Like, and we're not old men by any means. We've seen 10 titles. And what is, I'm gonna ask you because Nye, I know you're a Laker fan too. I want to get your opinion on this. For the last 7 years, non-playoff years, what's the one defining moment for you for the Lakers? Like, what's the one image besides Kobe 60 in the final game that's out the window? You can't say that one. What's the one
for
thing
me? For not
for both of you? So,
it's with the Achilles, man.
But no,
Kobe hurt himself.
They went to the playoffs that year. That was a playoff team. But
that was the end.
So I was talking about the non-playoff years.
So you mean after Kobe hurt himself?
Yep.
I would say Magic walking away.
That's a good one.
Magic walking away is when I felt at my lowest. Because that's not supposed to happen to the Lakers. It's just not.
In the parking garage.
Yeah, like come on, man. Like, that was bad.
Yeah. What about you, Nye?
I'd say, as far as non-playoff games, okay, remember the game that he got super sick? It was a game that he got super, super, super sick, and he decided to play, and he scored like this insane amount. Was that non-playoff? Kobe.
Kobe did?
Yeah. Was that non-playoff? Was that non-playoff?
Maybe. I'm trying to think of the game because I know he's been sick a couple times, but
no, like it was like bad sick. So like Michael Jordan had a sick, Kobe had a sick.
Yeah, I don't think that was a playoff.
Yeah, Kobe had the red nose that game.
Yeah.
Kobe had a sick. So yeah.
I don't know if that was the playoffs, but still though, it was during the time when they were struggling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me,
that's crazy. Parallel.
For me, and I was there when it happened, like at the facility, is when Kobe walked out of practice and was like, "This all you got, Mitch? That's all you got? How the F am I supposed to get better when they're practicing like a bunch of bees?" Like that was because I don't know if you've seen it on. I don't know if he's out. I don't know if you've seen it on film, but I was like right by the door, and he was like, "These guys effing suck, JoJo," and kept walking. I was just like,
Oh my goodness.
damn, dude. Me,
Wow.
me and Ted Sobel were there for that, and that was crazy because then I had to go back and do the show, afternoon drive show. It's that, and I think the other moment, because I mean, is it was when I looked
Don't
at the
cry. You
team.
about to cry?
No,
Don't cry
no,
about it, bro. Please
no,
get your emotions
no,
together right now, man.
no. I'm not crying. I want to say it right. When I looked at the team, and literally they're all just like on the bench, like before the game, and they're all it's like they didn't want to be there, and that this just sucked. Like
What team is this? What do you mean? This is before Lonzo and them?
This was before Lonzo and them.
Yeah, I remember.
And they're all just sitting there like it just bothers me because for certain teams, that's not supposed to happen.
Right.
Like you put on a uniform, it's supposed to mean something. The Lakers are one of those teams.
But if you think, if I'm thinking about it, like it's bad to be on a sucky team anyway. But if you're on the Lakers and you suck, that's got to be terrible. Like if you're of NBA basketball playing age, like the Lakers sucking is not really a thing. That's you know what I'm saying? It's not a thing. Like when you get drafted or when you end up getting traded or when you go to the Lakers, everything's supposed to upgrade. Life is supposed to upgrade. Yeah. So it's like you playing in front of the Staples Center every night and just getting trashed up and down the court. That's got to be worse than getting trashed in like Phoenix or like, some other place.
You're getting dragged and you're looking up and you're seeing Magic's jersey, Kareem's jersey. You're like, man, the 16 banners, and you're like,
Jack Nicholson is sitting over there looking at you like you're a bum. Like
Jack ain't even looking at you. Jack's looking at like the chick down there talking about.
Yeah, man, like it's gotta be the worst. Like the amount of scrutiny that you got to deal with as a Laker player when the team is trash. Like that's I wouldn't want to trade spaces.
Let's pull a drop back, okay? So I'm gonna speak upon a Monday's game. All right. So the Pellies, the Grizzlies, 109-99. Okay. I want to hear your guys' opinion on this rookie battle. Is it Ja or Zai?
Yo, to be honest, it's Ja for me. It's been Ja from the first time I watched him play. He may be my favorite player in the league already. I like his grit. I like the fact that he jumps out of the gym. I like that his teammates love him. I like his cockiness. I like the fact that he believes that he's the best now. I think that in Ja's head, I could be wrong, but I don't think he believes that Zion can stand in the same room as him. That's what I believe. And he plays like it every night. He comes out and he says, I'm the rookie of the year. I don't care about busted shoes. I don't care about load management. I don't care about Duke. I don't care about none of that. I'm the rookie of the year. I'm the man here to set this league on fire. And that's what he's been doing. Like some of the things that the dude pulls off. He's smart. He's athletic. He knows the game of basketball. He's a hell of a teammate. Like, I mean, what's the problem with this guy? This guy is it. With Zion, I mean, yeah, okay, he's got a high ceiling. Like he can absolutely change the game, change it upside down, on and off the court. But if I'm a GM, I don't want to put up with all that. Let me get this little skinny kid the ball and let him go boogie.
Yeah, I share the thought. When the draft was taking place and everybody was like, it's Zion. I was like, I'll take Ja first overall in the draft. Like, and I would take Lonzo and package somebody else with Lonzo and get another player, get a bigger player to come there and build it around Ja and Ingram and somebody else. I think that'd be a hell of a pairing. Two guys, I mean, especially Ingram now showing he has range. The thing that people don't talk about with Ja is just his range. Like he can shoot out the gym.
Yeah.
Besides jump out the gym. But I'll say this about Zion. I'm going to defend him a little bit. I was wrong to an extent. when he first came in, and even he was doughy as far as body. He was, kind of flabby. He didn't have his definition. Still had his baby fat, so to speak. But he took the 8 weeks or whatever it was during the pandemic very serious, and that dude is ripped right now. And I got to give him credit for that. He doesn't want to have load management. That's the Pelicans. He wants to get out there and run. He's frustrated by that. He's competitive. But I feel like he has a limited ceiling because I don't know if he can hit a jumper from mid-range or even step back and draw a defender out. Where with Ja, if you play off him, he'll pull up on you. If you play close, that first step, maybe the best first step in the league, and he's going right by you. So, and I like what the Grizzlies are doing. Now, they're a team that, again, if they make the playoffs, I would love the Lakers to play in the first round because I think it'd be an easier game for them. But Ja will give them fits. But I really like what Ja does. I keep in mind, the Lakers had the number 2 pick in the draft this year before they made their trade for Anthony Davis.
Damn. No. See, you throw all of this madness up, and we're talking about Anthony Davis. Like, shut up, Joe. Don't come with all of that. No. We ain't doing that. We got AD. Once in a generation, bro.
No, I know.
AD, stop with this.
I wouldn't give up AD for anything if I'm the Lakers. Nah. Even if I'm not the Lakers, AD's quickly becoming one of my top 2 favorite players in the league. But Ja Morant, I'm with you. He's up there too for young. Okay, his game reminds me of a crossover. Okay, I see with his first step and even his handles, I see Kenny Anderson. Kenny was one of the most lightning fast point guards with the way he can come off. I see a little Jamal Crawford in him with his body type, his length.
Long.
I see a little Kobe in him with his personality. He is kind of a dick, and to people. But I see I guess it's a little Jordan in him too. Like he wants to be great. He's going to push people to be great. And I see a little magic in him, the way he's infectious with his teammates and smiles. I see a good combination of really NBA pedigree in Ja Morant. I love his game.
But the speed, I think he's faster than all of them. Like he just like the dude, his speed with the ball, man. It's like.
That's why I said Kenny Anderson. Kenny was the fastest point guard I've ever seen with the ball in his hands. And he would stop on a diamond cross and you were, I still go back to when he put Bobby Hurley and Duke in the popcorn machine. And Dickie, he goes behind his back,
fried him,
comes back, and then he's this little floater. And Dickie goes, oh, baby, he's spectacular, he's stupendous, it's KA, baby. Oh, that's the best.
Smack him up.
I'm gonna get Kenny on next week. I'm gonna see if I'm gonna call him see if we can get Chibs on and talk about ball. But I really, I'm big. Like I know when we talked about it, before the shows, like we both said Ja. And I'm not disparaging Zion by any means, though. Like the dude came in with unreal expectations. Yeah. And truthfully, other than the little, was it the meniscus or whatever it was?
Right.
He really hasn't disappointed.
No, not by a long shot. He hasn't disappointed. He hasn't disappointed at all. I just think that we have more of a sample size of Ja first and foremost, and there's no leash on Ja. Who knows if there wasn't a leash on Zion, we might be saying something different.
As far as a leash being on Zion, you think he can stay healthy with having injuries throughout his entire career, high school, college, regular season? You think that's going to be something that affects him, which it kind of already has for the most part, but you think it'll affect him in the near future as far as him potentially being an all-star?
That's the worst. That's for me. That's always the worst way that a story can go, where you have a talent like his and his body just won't let him get to the place that he wants to get. So I hope that's not the case, because I really would like to see how good that kid can get. He has he's big and he's a big dominating force, but he's got a lot of ball skills also. And he's a smart player and he's got nowhere to go but up. So I hope that he can grow out of these injuries and stay healthy, so we can actually just kind of see it realized. Because I don't believe he's all hype. I believe that the hype was warranted. But when the if is something as serious as, chronic injuries, then it's always a big if.
I hope I'm wrong. I really do. But I do think he's going to be injured. I think he's going to get injured because a guy with that much explosion at that height and weight, something is bound to happen at some point. And I hope I'm wrong. LeBron's been the exception and not the rule.
What about Shaq?
Look how much Shaq was hurt. It may not have been ACLs, but Shaq was always, oh, my big toe. Oh, this Shaq got dinged up too. And yeah, no, I know he got rings. I know.
I'm saying if Zion ends up dinged up a lot with four rings, he had a hell of a career.
Zion's like 6'7". Shaq was 7'1". I mean, okay, Shaq had way more mass to take some of the punishment than Zion. I mean, there's guys bigger than Zion that he could potentially, he gets hit, goes down. I mean, I think Shaq is an exception to, not the rule. There's certain, Barkley was the same way. I mean, he was 6'4", 6'5". So I don't know. I do think he's going to end up at some point. He's going to get hurt. And I hate to say that. And I hope I'm wrong. I don't wish that upon him at all,
All right, guys. So fun facts about Ja. He's the first rookie since Michael Jordan to lead team in scoring, assists, and potentially leading them to playoffs. So he definitely has the potential to be an all-star. He does. But we are coming to an end of our show. But before we go, I don't want a huge discussion over this. I just want to hear who you guys are going to pick. And I probably already know who it is.
Say what?
Defensive year.
Oh, come on, man. Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis. He came there to get it, and he got it. You saw what he did to Rudy Gobert the other night. Barbecue chicken. Barbecue chicken. AD, hands down.
Chicken. Squeeze, you gave him barbecue chicken. Go try big chicken. Down by Tropicana by UNLV. Big chicken. Yeah. It's AD. AD is he's been the best player on the Lakers all year. He's been the best player on the court for the Lakers in the bubble, and that's saying a lot.
Barbecue chicken.
And he made the reigning two-time defensive player of the year look like barbecue chicken. So
barbecue chicken. That I'm gonna love. I'm a defensive guy. I love defense. I like to see the man receiving the defensive player of the year wearing purple and gold. I like that.
I'll go on a limb. Within the next 2 years, providing he resigns with the Lakers, which I think he will, Anthony Davis will win not just another Defensive Player of the Year award, he'll win an MVP.
Agreed. Barbecue chicken.
Hey, guys, I got something that just kind of came across, and I think it's kind of important. Maryland head football coach Mike Locksley formed a new minority coaches coalition to identify and groom candidates for advancement in college and the NFL. The board of directors include Ozzie Newsome, Nick Saban, Mike Tomlin, and Debbie Yao.
Wow. Now we're talking about moving in the right direction, you see. I love it.
So I think that's dope. That's a cool thing right there. And we need more of that. And it'd also be for the players as well.
Absolutely.
That is super dope. All right, gentlemen. Thank you for your time. I had a blast with you guys today.
Yes,
not
indeed.
too many rants. I could deal with it.
I know we were good today for some reason. I think it's because it was early.
Probably because it's early.
I can't lie, man. Sports on TV all day long, every day. Hey, what we got to complain about today?
Really. All right, guys. So, barbecue chicken.
Barbecue chicken.
Yo, that sounds good.
Baby. Come on, Lakers. Let's get it.
What's your choose? Buffalo, lemon pepper, barbecue. What's your flavor?
Honey
lemon
barbecue
pepper, but
sriracha.
today, there you go. All right. Today, barbecue all day.
Hey, Squeeze, I know you go back to SoCal a lot. On your way down the 15, there's a place called Boondocks. My boy Chris Daly is the chef, head chef there, master chef. He makes the best wings outside of Magic City. I'm not playing with you. And he created a honey barbecue sriracha. It is, bro.
I'm on it. I'm on this thing. Watch I'm on this thing. Open?
Yeah.
Open right?
Yeah.
I'm on it.
Hey, I may bring him to Vegas for the franchise party just to make wings, bro. Just to have
baby. Now we talking. We talking.
Hey, guess what else though? Guess what else? Before we go, guess what else? Today's a wonderful, beautiful, marvelous, spectacular day. And hey, why not make it the day they arrest the killers of Breonna Taylor? I'm just saying.
PQ, any parting words?
Parting words is please wear a mask. Please be safe. COVID is real. I want to thank everybody who's been praying for my cousin, Lil Dane. He is out of ICU. He will be coming home within the next 2 days. He had fluid around his heart. He had a bad case of COVID. He's only 19 years old, but he will be coming home. Thank God. Thank everybody for their prayers. Praying for my family all last week. Love y'all.
All right, guys. And my parting words is, of course, my quote of the day. If it doesn't challenge you, it won't change you. Okay. So you can catch the franchise podcast next Thursday. In the meantime, Lakers Rockets tonight. You got Giants and Dodgers tomorrow, I believe, right?
Tonight.
And then
tonight.
And then you have the Knights and the Blues tonight as well.
And tomorrow, WWJD with special guest, new UNLV commit, Aaron Holloway.
Yay, tune in.
Let's get it. All right. Have a great day.